Have you ever heard yourself speak? Maybe you have heard a recording or listened to a voicemail message. I'm not sure there are many people that have heard themselves on a recording and not said, "Oh, I don't like the way that I sound." Our voices often sound different to us than they do to everyone else. But I'm not talking about the sound of your voice, but rather the content of your speech. Have you ever heard yourself speak? What is your speech flavored with? Does it carry the flavor of fear, the spice of disappointment, the saltiness of encouragement, the sweet honey of hope? Whatever we speak, it will be flavored with something. We live in a world where the phrase hate speech is sadly something we hear far too regularly on our news feeds. But we are the people of God, with the Holy Spirit resident inside of us. We get the opportunity to shift and change the atmosphere of the spaces and places and people that we encounter. As the bride of Christ, we have the opportunity to speak life and light and hope into this world by changing the flavor of our language, by adopting faith speech. Like it says in Romans 4, we speak those things that are not as though they are. In other words, we engage our faith, the substance of that which is not seen, to choose to see and speak out the truth in spite of what we see with our eyes. We live in a world so full of fear, hopelessness, hate. Let's be a people that are known for our flavor, that pleasant aftertaste of faith left in the mouths of those that we encounter. Now, I'm not suggesting we live oblivious to what we see around us, but rather we have the opportunity to bring heaven's perspective into our everyday. We don't have to fuel the fires of negativity or fear, but we get to bring the salve of peace and truth to a hurting world. Marconi, one of the pioneers of radio transmission, had the idea that sound never really dies. It goes on forever, just fading away until we can no longer hear it with our human ears. He thought that if he could create the right type of device, any sound from the past could be recovered and heard again. What a beautiful idea. Just imagine that for a moment. Being able to hear again the first notes of Beethoven's symphony, the first time it was ever played, or perhaps the famous words of Martin Luther King, or even the simple words of "I love you" from that loved one now past. Marconi's dearest dream was to be able to hear Jesus as he spoke the Sermon on the Mount. Although, unfortunately for Marconi, not the case. Just imagine for a moment the words that we speak continuing on forever. A sobering thought, really, but also a reminder of the power that we have in our tongue. Remember, it was a word that spoke creation into being in the beginning. As we speak, calling those unseen things into the seen, those things that are not as though they are, speaking faith over fear, we shift the atmosphere. I long for a world where my news feed is filled with faith speech instead, bringing the perspective of heaven to earth, bringing truth and light and hope to the ears of the nations. Bless you.